Hello everyone, and welcome. My name is John, known by some as my more common web username, ChaosX97, in some places around the web. Today, I wanted to share this with you guys. It's a discussion video for anyone who is interested in writing. Here, we're going to be talking about the importance of outlining. You can see here in the background, I have this website I created for people who do want to become writers, either because they want to write for fun, like if they want to do fanfics and stuff, or they want to do it a little more professional. I believe my website is a bit better for the former, but if you are going professional, this is a good place to get your feet wet before you go into some of the more heavy stuff. I have links on my website that can take you to resources by some of the writers that I have looked into, which help me learn everything I know about writing. So today we are going to talk about outlining. It's a necessary step, even though it does scare a lot of people. The reason for that is because it can be very in-depth, more in-depth than people really want to go into. But really, the more you get into outlining, the better your story ultimately becomes. Because if you just structure it from the very beginning, or if you just come up with details off the seat of your pants and you just try and force them into their proper places, your story can feel stale, or there are some areas you find are not considered as well as others, and so it leaves a blank space that leaves readers really questioning. So the important thing to remember is that when you're outlining, it's no matter how much outlining you do or the more outlining you do, it only benefits you in the end. So the major steps to creating an outline are refining your premise. You're forming ideas for your story, like a handful of scenes, rough sketches for your characters, a general conflict that they go through, and a sense of the ending. And then you want to hammer all that into one sentence that conveys the plot or the theme. When you're creating that sentence, you think of elements like situations, characters, objectives, opponents, and disasters. What might happen if they fail? So, once you get an idea for where you want to go with your story, or just some of the basic stuff, you compile your general sketches. So the way that works is when you're brainstorming your story, it's good to let it sit in your head for a while and let ideas form. Just get ideas for what big things you want to happen in your story. And then once you've got a firm idea, or it becomes more clear in your head, you take a piece of paper and you just jot down everything. Write down everything you want in the story. And then you think about some of the things that you might have missed in between. One thing you should know for writers is that one of the most powerful weapons you have as a writer is a question. Questions like what ifs and whys. Nice. These will help you to create a synopsis and find plot holes in your story. Think about why characters behave the way they do, why they're bitter about their past. You definitely want to look into that. Emotional wounds and instances in your character's past can make them all the richer. And also consider what forces them to make particular decisions. And don't be afraid to come up with some crazy ideas. You can think of what readers might expect, then find ways to turn those around. What readers definitely love is when you find ways to subvert their expectations. Be as crazy as you want. The crazier, the better. So once you've got your general sketches down, once you've got ideas about the plot, the next thing you want to do is create character sketches. Look at your characters. Sort of interview them. Imagine it like an interview, and you're asking them questions. You delve deep into their backstories to learn about everything there is to know about them. Their personalities, their relationships with other people, their likes and dislikes, even the most trivial questions can be asked. Even everything from how would they describe themselves, or what are their morals, down to what their favorite kind of pizza is, or what they would wear for a Halloween costume. Not everything makes it into your story, or some of it might seem trivial, but the more you know your characters, the better. Because when you're planning the rest of your story out, it's best to get a a feel for them, so you know how they would react in certain situations. The ones you want to focus on with this step most are, of course, your main protagonist, your good guy, your antagonist, and whatever supporting characters you want to focus on the most important ones, the ones you feel might add to your main protagonist's journey. So once you've got your character sketches down, the next step is to write your extended outline. Here you can begin forming your plot, and you put in as much detail as possible. In the previous step, you were only coming up with small notes. Here you want to put in think about everything in detail. So at this point, you should have plot points and character motivations that are completely aligned. And one important thing to note when you're doing this is that you're going to bob and weave a lot through these sections. You've got to consider various other areas when you're considering even one. It goes around from characters to plots to your overall universal theme. So everything has to line up and everything should fit with the other, just like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. And finally, once you've got all that down, what you want to do is list your abbreviated outline. So once you've got everything mapped out, you want to condense and abbreviate it because, of course, you don't want to go through all those notes, all these big books of stuff just to get the details you want. It's best to just trim it down and so you can easily find the notes you're looking for. So what I've described is basically a general overview of how the outlining process works. As I said, it's very intense, it's very in-depth, and that alone is what scares a lot of people away because some people just don't want to do plotting. I've been looking into fanfics a lot, and because I just like to see what stories people come up with for my favorite kinds of media. And, it's obvious some people just write it chapter by chapter, or they're too influenced by what the readers want. So it is best that you try and plan this out as much as possible. And you'd be surprised by what you come up with. I remember I started out the same way. I just wanted to do it a chapter a day, and I just wanted to get to writing. And at the time, I considered myself, I'm a pretty good writer, but the more I looked into this, I realized, wow, I have got a lot to learn. It's just that writing curve. So don't be afraid to take your time or get in depth, because your story is yours. You're writing what you want to write about. So that is the general cursory examination of an outline. I hope you all enjoyed my basic cursory examination of an outline. I will post this onto YouTube, and you can leave any questions you have in the comment section. And if this video gets some support, I'll possibly make more. Or if you want to go a little more in depth as to each of the sections, like looking into characters or asking questions or thinking of plot or theme, I'd be happy to discuss them in another video. So that should be about it. Thank you, and have a nice day, everyone. Goodbye.